AI is absolutely going to change the marketing world forever. The problem is everyone is going about it wrong. In this video, I'm going to break down the future of what AI will actually look like when it comes to running a business, and also show you some of the groundbreaking ways and strategies I'm leveraging AI to radically transform the results, speed, efficiency, and profitability of my company, Bad Marketing. Awesome, guys. I am super stoked to do this training today because I actually didn't think I would be able to train on this specific thing. This is kind of something I've mentioned before of like in the future, right? Like it'll be AI agents that work together, multiple different AIs that work together to ultimately accomplish a task, right? And so this wasn't something that I was thinking that I'd be able to train on immediately. And so I was planning to train on some different tools and different hacks that I had, but I actually have pretty much a MVP version that I'm going to walk you guys through and show you of how to actually create these agents. And ultimately, like my goals for this training that you'll be able to start to see and like ultimately like your mind be a little bit open to like, okay, what else is possible, right? And hopefully you leave this and going in your own time of going, man, how do I improve this? How do I start building my own to help my workflows and start getting better insights and better outputs? Ultimately, like I think with all of the information, the insight, the talent, the brain power on this call, man, there's no telling where this team, if we all lean into stuff like this, will be in the next 4 to 5 months. It'll be absolutely insane. And so I'm going to start off by just kind of like drawing out what the overall picture of what this example is going to be and what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to kind of actually take you into it and start showing you how it's built out. And then I'm going to show you kind of like what the phase 2 of what this can actually look like. And then we'll kind of go from there. And I just kind of want to like illustrate here what ultimately this future will look like. Okay. So what we've talked about before is that what we won't have is companies using something like an AI and everyone just starts putting in inputs, right? From copy to media buying to data. This is not what the future will actually look like, right? What the future will actually look like and what we're going to work through today is what happens when we have a client who onboards with us, right? So they onboard and then that gets routed to a research agent and then that gets passed to a basically like I would say sales/marketing strategist. Okay. That then gets passed to a copywriter. That gets passed to FTC compliance. That gets passed to copy chief. That gets passed back to copywriter. Okay. So ultimately, this is what I'm going to show you that I've built out. And this is pretty cool. So with that said, when it comes down to how do we actually optimize for the future, what is going to be really, really important is it's all about when it comes to agents. Let's say the agent here, there's kind of like 3 different sections of what I'd say an agent is. So first you have the foundation instructions and then basically knowledge pool. Okay. So when you're creating an AI agent or an assistant, which is what I'm going to kind of show you guys how to do, when you're creating this, these are the 3 things that you're really going to have to keep in mind. Okay. So every agent, essentially, the foundation of it is what does it do? The next is how does it do it? And then it's what insight can you provide? And think of this part. This is what a lot of people talk about when they say training it. So this is like training the AI. This is kind of like the part that a lot of people mix with these 2 things here. Okay. But when you guys are thinking through it, when you're working with AI and the future of AI, and a very, very important thing is to start really getting your brain to think mechanically, right? Now, the cool thing is you guys naturally do this because you're media buyers, and media buyers just have a natural tendency to think mechanically, to think of if I do this step, then this thing happens, then this thing happens, right? So you want to make sure that you're just maintaining that understanding when you're building your AI agents, okay? The only other aspect to this is as you're building these in the future, what you really want to start considering is just thinking of the variables and like the second and third order consequences. Meaning, as you're finding slight nuances, then you want to start adapting the way you're instructing it and adapting the knowledge pool that you're telling the AI to start learning from. as you're kind of really building this, the only thing to keep in mind as well as like a pro hack is to leverage AI to improve your process with AI. Okay. So it's like, as you're brain dumping stuff in, like this was me when I was starting to create this out. It was like, I was brain dumping everything I could think that I wanted it to learn or wanted it to know or wanted it to do. But then the next step of that was just taking that and then also providing it to a separate AI of going like, help me improve this prompt, making it clear. Cool. So I'm going to actually pull open GPT now and kind of start walking you through how this is really built out. And we'll kind of do some examples. For this training, what I've essentially done is just used as an example that we can all use together. But you can start doing this with your own clients in and of itself. And realistically, what I think would be really cool is for you guys to start going, okay, I'm going to pick a client that I have and start practicing with it. And ultimately, I think if we all started doing this together, we'll really, really be able to get a cool process going. Okay. All right. So let's jump into the nitty gritty here. When you're inside of ChatGPT, most of you are probably used to seeing this type of stuff, and you come in, you select your model, right? And then you can kind of give it your prompt, right? But really what you want to start doing, and as we've talked about before, the real power of AI comes when you learn how to silo that bot or that AI into its own section, and that's all it actually focuses on, right? And so instead of thinking I'm going to create a prompt chat, what you're really going to do is you're going to come up and you're going to go my GPTs. Okay. And you can see I've built out these guys already, but for the sake of this, you'd go create GPT. And this here, what you program it to do is going to be kind of like what it does every single time you're inside of that chat. And that's where this is going to start really learning and getting good at what you want it to do. Okay. And so inside of this section, when you're creating your GPT, you'll give it a name, a description, instructions. And ultimately, I kind of skip conversation starters because I don't really care about this. But this is the knowledge base is where it starts to get really, really good because you can start attaching files. Right. So I want you to think about, like, imagine all of the different training documents, SOP documents, research documents, copy documents that you have. You can actually upload these as references so that every single time this GPT is firing an action or its instruction, it uses those as its knowledge base, right? So then down here below it, once you've uploaded files, you can say, what do you want this GPT to do? Do you want it to be able to browse the web? Do you want it to be able to create images? And do you want it to be able to have a code interpreter or a data analysis? And so here I typically will say yes, because I want it to be able to analyze data or things that I'm providing for it inside of my uploaded files, right? So once you've created that, you just hit create, and that's where we're going to start with step one. So let's start with the step one. As I illustrated earlier, we kind of have multiple different agents that will work together. So the first one in my head was when a new client comes in, my first step is let's get all of their research done. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this and show you what this looks like. So I hit edit and kind of walk you through how this thing was built. So first, this is the research AI bad info division. So imagine now, like, every single time we have onboarding documents, all we'd have to do is come to this agent, upload the documents. It'll automatically start spitting out what we need it to do. And I'll show you that here in an example. So just so you guys can see the prompt, and I have these prompts over here. This prompt says, you are a world-class researcher specializing in direct response marketing, consumer psychology, and demographic analysis. The business you will be analyzing are seeking to launch and scale their social media advertising on platforms like Facebook, Google, YouTube. Your primary objective is to analyze their onboarding documents to gain a comprehensive understanding of the following aspects. And then we provide all of this stuff that we want it to understand. You will then use this information to conduct a thorough and in-depth exploration of deeper insights into their target market, expanding our understanding with vivid details about the psychographics and demographics, competitors, and potential opportunities. Then we kind of give it a guideline of execution, what I want it to look like, and then we tell it what the final deliverable should be, right? All right, so let's take a look at what this actually is in action. So coming back over, what I've uploaded for it is a template. It's just an outline essentially of what I want the template to look like. Let's go ahead and come back here and I'll show you guys what it does. So let's say, for example, onboarded. We have their 2 onboarding documents that we standardly get, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to upload, and it's going to start to spit out a research. The cool thing here is that when you have your prompt behind the scenes to the agent done correctly, you'll almost never have to give a valid prompt because the prompt already exists behind the scenes, right? And so all this will, we'd have to do is simply go in and upload the onboarding documents that we get from them in onboarding. And then this will go to work and start getting all that information for us. So now that we have the research side, this is the cool part. The next stage is the sales argument builder, right? So just to kind of show you what that looks like. So now that we have our research side, we would then take this to the sales argument builder for the info division, right? So this is basically just saying that it's a elite direct response copywriter and marketing strategist with deep expertise on consumer psychology and persuasion. Basically, what it'll do is it'll analyze the research that was provided by our research department, and then it'll conduct its own research if it thinks it needs to deepen its understanding. But then essentially what it'll do is understand the client market, research insights, develop the big ideas, define unique mechanisms, construct sales arguments, integrate visual and structural elements, and document the findings, right? So let me show you the behind the scenes of what this actually is. So you can see the context behind this GPT. So next, if we go over here and I show you how this was edited, what this has is not just, of course, the prompt and instructions, but also what we've done is we've now given it our copywriting handbook so that it can learn exactly how to create a big idea, how to create and develop sales arguments. And so what this GPT does is it studies this document and also studies my other document, which is just the brain dump that talks more about expanding big ideas and how to create them, things like that. And it'll reuse those as a baseline for developing the sales arguments that we instruct it to do, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and provide it the research. Now that we have this, let's take it over to our copywriter, right? Let's say that we wanna write some ads for this account. Let me show you everything that I've taught it. So I've told it that essentially, please review and analyze the copywriting handbook attached, right? Make it highly compelling copy. I will provide instructions in the thread of what I want you to write. You will write amazing direct response copy. You'll also use insights and understandings from legendary copywriters like Gary Bencivenga, Gary Halpert, David Ogilvy, Eugene Schwartz, Dan Kennedy, John Carlton, Ben Settle, and John Caples, as well as the copywriting handbook. And so we've basically programmed it already with trainings. And essentially, it'll just review all of that information as it goes to write the copy. As you can see, we've already given it an avatar profile list, the copywriting handbook, sales argument thing that we've just built. And I've even given it a copy of the calculator so that it can understand more about what the product is that we're selling. So we'd come over here and let's just say all I had to have to do is please write 2 cold market ads I can use for Facebook ads and make 1 ad direct copy and 1 ad indirect copy. And watch this.
That's wild. Now, when you use the word direct and indirect, that is a function of the fact that you've uploaded the documents that reference those phrases, right?
Exactly. I've already taught the AI how to do indirect and direct.
So where'd you put the information that they can get from the famous copywriters? Where is that?
That's the cool thing is that realistically it already knows or it has access to it because it has access to the internet. But the cool thing is as we get better, realistically, what I want to start doing is uploading full sales trainings and books from these authors behind the scenes in the uploaded files section. So that has an even more clear understanding of what those copywriters do and how they teach, right? So even imagine this, the next phase that we have is I can start having the videos from Human X in the trainings that we have as its own agent, right? And so I can have one specifically on writing a headline, and it can have all of the videos that we have inside of our program on writing headlines as its context that it uses to build the things that it delivers to us. Because even GPT now has AIs or GPTs that can basically watch and glean information from videos. It can understand intent, it can dictate and translate them. And so that's kind of the next phase. So imagine like that's how good it got with just such a basic understanding. But the next phase of being able to now like actually understand and like be fed so much data before it even starts creating prompts, right? So let me come back here to the next step. The next phase of what I would essentially do is I can now go into the FTC compliance checker, just so you guys can see what's behind it. This is basically an FTC compliance assistant. We're telling it to review the materials and essentially provide feedback on not only how risky is it, but also what some recommendations are to adapt that copy to become compliant. What I've uploaded is different FTC, our FTC compliance handbook that we have, but also I've actually just gone to the FTC website and found different PDFs and documents as it relates to online marketing or business opportunities or investments. I've downloaded those PDFs and I've now uploaded that into this compliance checker so it can use it when it's kind of grading the copy that we supply it, right? So now let's go ahead and say this. And you can see now it's citing specific regulations and rules from the FTC. And now it's giving us a revised marketing copy for compliance. Cool. So what I'm going to do here, I've got this copied, is I'm going to take this feedback and give it to my copy chief. So just to show you guys what the copy chief instructions are. So this is basically just saying it's a senior level copy chief. It's receiving both the original drafts of copy as well as the feedback from the FTC compliance checker. And its job is essentially to take the FTC compliance checker insight and feedback and then apply that to the copy while basically improving the copy to make sure it's the most compelling and persuasive possible while also still being compliant. The cool thing about the copy chief section though is it has basically two options I've given it. I've said basically if it is a small iterations or adjustments, feel free to do it on your own. However, if there is a better idea that you have or a better angle, a better concept, better big idea, provide clear instructions so that we can send it back to the copywriter and that they can go expand, right? And so the whole idea here is to get these things working together to where a copy chief, just like a standard copy chief would, is if it's small iterations, they'll make those adjustments itself. But if it's big changes, it will go ahead and give clear instructions, provide that information back to the copywriter, and the copywriter will make adjustments from there, right? So with that said, let me go ahead and let's put this thing to work.
Ashton, can GPTs be linked together? So you instruct it to say, hey, write this copy, but ensure that you check with the FTC compliance. GPT, can they actually like communicate in a sense or link knowledge?
Yes. So this is the phase 2. So you guys have basically now seen how each of one of these work individually. And now what I'm working on, and essentially I probably need about a day to complete it, but essentially this is where phase 2 comes in. Because with make.com, we can now have, and essentially what will happen or the future of what we'll be doing is we will be having essentially inside of ClickUp, all you needing to do is provide that first initial thing of write 3 top of funnel ads that are direct and 1 indirect or whatever. And essentially setting, let me just kind of show you the bare bones of what this looks like here. This is kind of my sandbox account, but inside here, if I just said top of funnel ad copy test, write 3 ads to cold market for its calculator, give 1 indirect and 2 direct ads. And then all you needing to do is just simply saying send prompt to GPT. Essentially what happens there inside of Make, basically what we can have is automations that just watch tasks and they essentially watch for that prompt, send prompt to GPT status to be filed. Then essentially ClickUp will pull the task description, send it to ChatGPT. And then essentially what I'm having it do now, because I've got this part figured out, now is just adding the result back into ClickUp. So essentially what would happen is that now once we have the AI stage, once it's sent back into ClickUp, it would go ahead and change automatically the status or stage to review 1 ready. Then you can review, make any changes or requests that you have, and then you would basically send it to revision 1, which would send it to the copywriter for anything that you needed to change. Or if you think it's good, all you would have to say is compliance review. That would send it to the FTC compliance checker. That would then automatically send it to the copy chief. The copy chief would automatically make the revisions. And then once those things are done, it would automatically be brought back into the task. and it would be basically saying final draft complete, and you could jump in and look at it. So that would be the next stage, but it's possible to automatically have these things happen to where behind the scenes, as soon as one thing is done, it gets sent over to the next. What do you guys think?
Can you say one-man army?
Basically. Yeah, because basically the next thing, as we already know GPT, but there's also other AI apps. But essentially it's like, now imagine being able to have that ad copy finally done, FTC compliance reviewed, copy chief reviewed, but now you could send that ad copy over to DALL-E to create a graphic that goes along with the ad copy you just wrote. And because we can upload files behind the scenes, we could upload the brand guidelines, we could upload the logos, we could upload the colors, the fonts, so that it is on brand with any creative it builds specifically for that client. And this stuff could happen by you taking 5 seconds, typing out a sentence of write 2 ads, one indirect and one direct, and everything else is automatically done and should be done in about 5 to 10 minutes max without you needing to do anything. Now, if we want to go super cool, what I think I can probably build out and what I've been thinking on, I don't know if you guys have seen my video content on like what I think content agencies should be doing. But essentially inside of that, what I think really the next step is video naturally, right? And so realistically now it's like, imagine if we could get a client, they just spend 10 minutes with us, 15 minutes with us. We can use 11 Labs or Be Human, whatever. But now if we could use ChatGPT to monitor competitor ads, dictate them, translate them, be able to improve upon the script and the copy, that copy being sent to 11 Labs, and then it automatically generating a video creative for us that's sent back to us. But like, that's like the next iteration step here. I think the most important thing to keep in mind as you're seeing something like this is hopefully while you're watching it, you're thinking of like your own ideas of like, man, this is what I could use it to do. I want one specifically for this or whatever. But the next thing is just understanding that the only real way we get better is through our ability to leverage technology like this. And if we don't, and we rely only on what we have and what we understand and what we know, we will fall behind very quickly, right? Because while we might say we could maybe produce better copy or something like that, we also have to understand it's only because we feel like we have more context and understanding. But the moment that we can provide a AI more content and more understanding at one given time than we could, meaning you might remember some things that you have read in a book and that's what you've built a lot of your understanding and skills off of. But imagine where something could review all of the books in one instantaneous moment. It will have more context and understanding than we do, right? And so learning how to leverage or think more creatively about this kinds of stuff is what's definitely going to A, help our lives be better, but B, that is what's going to make us better in the long run.
So just a quick question about the video aspect of this. First of all, is the content on your Instagram AI? Is it the AI version of you, or is it you in the bad marketing office?
Yeah, that's me in the bad marketing office. The content that I was just talking about was just more of this one specific video of what I was saying like content creators should be doing, because I think right now, like the offers that they have, like they flood everyone's DMs of like $1,500 a month and I'll give you 30 videos, right? The problem with that is it still requires 4 or 5 hours of my time a month to sit down, record those, or come up with ideas, right? But if you came to me and was like, actually, it's still $1,500 a month. Hell, it's $2,000 a month, but I will only need one session with you for 40 minutes. And then I'll never need a moment of your time in front of a camera again until we decide to change scenes, which maybe we decide to take 5 minutes every month to just get a new scene, right? But if you told me that, that's a done deal, sold, right? And go ahead.
So just my question is, so what you're saying is you can now, since you have videos of you in the podcast room, you can now generate an AI version of you speaking in that exact same setting because you have everything you need from before, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And even, PJ last week did a recording with me to get that information, right? It doesn't take much time at all. You just got to give a software license basically to build an avatar copy of yourself. It'll ask you to say a sentence with security codes. But then from there, it can use your likeness to develop its own.
This is amazing. So Ashton, is there like a step-by-step process of how we can do the exact same thing for our clients and ask them to be the face of the brand just once, and then we would generate scripts for them. Because I think most of the clients that we have specifically on ecom have a very, very big problem with content, especially video. And they work with creators who just don't know how to sell. And I'm just imagining how we can generate scripts that sell, but it's a UGC at the same time.
Exactly. So it's like, imagine never being constrained by a client not getting us more creative. If we can just get, we could do it on the onboarding call. Right after the onboarding call, there's a 10-minute AI, avatar builder session. We get that stuff there. But in my head, it's like, it goes even further to where it's like, now imagine though, if we can have an automation that tracks, any of their competitors, and it can pull down their best ads, their top ads, or their video creatives, dictate them, translate them. We can go to current events, and then we use that information together for the GPT to create scripts. And then that automatically gets sent to the video creator, right? And then the cool part is, like, all of this also can then be passed over to a brand manager that watches things and makes sure that things feel on brand, that's on voice, that is also compliant, and then gets passed to us after its review. I'm going to continue playing and iterating because namely what I really want is that automated side. So now I'm able to actually start automating the process and essentially setting things not just to a ChatGPT, which is what most people are doing with Zapier or Make, is they just have like a prompt being sent to a GPT, but now these can be sent into a specific assistant that is always just doing the same thing. So that's what I'm playing with now and want to automate. And yeah, guys, ultimately, I think it comes down to now of just how can we start creating really, really specialized AI prompts or AI agents that are on specific things, right? VSL specific, right? We could probably upload 10 of our top VSLs, what they performed at, right? We can have it analyze the structures, the times, right? All of that kind of thing. And it's like, now if we ever needed a VSL to be written, we could plug it in, it could write it for us, based on what we already know works, off proven principles. Work should get a lot easier, but only if we all lean in and really figure out how to get good at AI. I think that's the mistake most people are making right now, is that everyone is using AI, but no one is actually dedicating the time to get good at AI, right? Not just prompts and whatever, like, here's this cool prompt I've spent so much time, but like really learning how they can all work together to improve upon each other. If we can learn to do that, that's when, like, our lives should be a lot easier, because we haven't even talked about the AIs I've been playing with for data analytics and pulling these metrics, right? Because now, okay, I'm not going to go into too much of a rant, but like, it's possible now though. It's like, okay, these ad copies that we are having it create, because it's under a specific agent, the only other thing I need to have it add is creating unique parameters, basically naming conventions for each ad it creates. But GPT can also now connect to Google Data Studio and Google Sheets. So now imagine where the AI is reading daily what the Sheets reporting metrics are under each naming convention of the ad, and then using those metrics and results to report back to the copywriter to make iterations on copy based on the data it's actually seeing live happen in accounts, right? Like, we will never have to be like, what should we test next? Because the AI will already be watching the data and attaching those back to copy it's written and creatives it's analyzing and saying, this is what needs to happen next. It's good stuff.
Incredible.
Cool. All right, fam. Any other questions before we sign off? Was this helpful?
Extremely.
Cool.
Yeah, really good stuff.
Dope. Play. Let's get nerdy. We bad. Let's act like it. Peace, guys. I hope you loved this video, nerding out with me on the future of AI, what it looks like leveraging AI agents and getting them to work together. But this is only the foundational element. Make sure you subscribe and follow if you want to see the next video I'm going to record as I finalize the automation process and even enhanced what I'm already doing inside of AI. So if you want to see that video, be sure to like, subscribe, share, and stay tuned for that next video.